The events in Washington, D.C. yesterday have left a lot of us with questions.
Joining us now is UW journalism professor and political expert Mike Wagner to help explain what's going on now. Mike, good to see you. Thanks for being with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So we have less than 2 weeks before the new president takes office. What can we expect for the next 13 days? What are things going to look like?
Boy, your guess is as good as mine. I, would not have predicted 2 weeks ago that we would have had an insurrection at the Capitol while the Electoral College votes were being certified. So we, normally would be having conversations about what the Biden administration's policy priorities were going to be, talking about the qualifications for the people he would like to be in his cabinet and other major posts. We would be talking about the legacy of the outgoing president. But instead, I think we're talking about the possibility that the president might be removed from office by the constitutionally with the 25th Amendment, or via another impeachment and potential removal, or running out the clock over the next 13 days in an environment where reportedly the president has barred the chief of staff for the vice president from the White House.
Mike, how would you characterize what the last 24 hours have meant for our democracy? Was this a test?
It's a test. It's been chilling and scary and appalling and angering and utterly unsurprising, given that the president himself, told people to go to the Capitol and try to give courage to what he called weak Republicans who weren't totally on board with his scheme to pretend that he somehow won an election that he verifiably lost. So it's very sad for people. I know a lot of the folks who I work with, both here at the university and around the country, who teach democracy and communication and journalism to students. People are very distressed at what's happening. It's, as President Bush said, it's an insurrection. As one of our own Wisconsin Congress members said, it's something that happens in a banana republic. It's not something that we've come to expect or had been taught was possible. And I guess it reminds us that democracy is fragile, and free and fair elections require that people who lose elections gracefully concede. Democracy is for the people who lose elections, because there's always another one. You don't need to work to install yourself as a bizarre, undemocratic strongman. You can just run for election again and try to persuade the voters next time.
Some people, though, were not surprised by the events that happened yesterday.
That's right. The president has been talking since before the election, since before his first election, about how he would not trust results that didn't show him as the winner. He continues to make false claims about the election, an election where the votes were counted, recounted, and adjudicated more than 4 dozen times, where each time we learned that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election fair and square. When people working for the president would go on TV and make outrageous claims, they would somehow not make outrageous claims, when they would then have to go into a court of law where they were under oath or facing professional sanctions for making stuff up. And so they didn't do it there, and that's why they lost in court. But it's not surprising that this happened, because the president and his Republican enablers in Congress and in state governments have told people lies. Just as Senator Romney said last night, leaders need to tell people the truth, and the leaders of the party that lost the presidential election need to tell their voters the truth. The president lost.
All right, we'll hold our breath for the next 13 days, and hopefully we'll have a transfer of power. Mike, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.